Vtuber Legends Review. Wholesome Vtuber fun, but too much? Hello everyone. Here's my review of Vtuber Legend, how I went viral after forgetting to turn off my stream. I'll expand on what I said in my summer 2024 anime roundup and go into full spoiler territory. If you want to see my summarized non-spoiler thoughts, please watch that video or read the vlog of that first. So I think this is a wholesome and really funny show that lovingly portrays VTubers and the generally uplifting space that they occupy. But it can go so far with its jokes, its positivity, its authenticity, etc., that it could be a tough watch for people who aren't already into VTubers, who don't like sexual humor, and want a deeper exploration of the VTuber space. This is an anime that appeals a lot to specific tastes, leading to it being great for the niches that it's going for, but questionable to those who don't quite fit into those. I am one of those VTuber simp degenerates who fits into those niches, so I did thoroughly enjoy it, but I do still think it has some issues. We've seen more series recently that have VTubers in them or reference them, such as Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night, but few I'm aware of have made it the main focus. This is by far the most passionate and authentic portrayal of the VTuber space that I have seen, especially when you're considering the positives of the space, and that's important. The passion towards VTubers can be felt through the screen. It is just so strong. You really feel the love. That is one aspect of it that made me stick with it. It was not just a dedicated portrayal of a topic that I happen to like. It explodes with love and enthusiasm for this. This is not someone's attempt to cash in on the VTuber boom. This is a love letter to VTubers. There are references and love towards VTubing as a whole, but it is most focused on corporate VTubers like Hololive and Nijisanji, who also act more in the idol sphere. So this show follows multiple members of a corporate VTubing agency as they go about navigating their jobs and living their life as VTubers. The main character is Awayuki Kokorone, a VTuber who struggled to gain as much popularity as her generation mates, until she accidentally forgets to turn off her stream properly. This broke her prim and proper facade, revealing that she is an unhinged, alcoholic gooner. But this accident skyrockets her popularity, and ends up being exactly what she needs to truly feel happy and fulfilled with her role. We see all the major hits that you often see with big VTubers: talking streams, karaoke, like the endings, one-on-one collabs with an established back and forth, big gaming collabs, variety show inspired streams, art reviews, it goes on. They even use real live 2D models in the show, pretty sure. The accuracy of the content you'd see from VTubers is very enjoyable for that aspect. One compliment in this vein is that while it is imitating corporate VTubers, I don't think any of the characters feel like direct caricatures of specific VTubers. You can make comparisons and see inspirations, absolutely, but it's great to see. It's great that none of them really feel like a complete copy. So her legendary stream hitting #1 trending honestly isn't much of a stretch, as corporate VTubers have hit big trending on Twitter and other platforms various times on accident. The most famous one that I can think of was 4 years ago, when Hoshimarin and Shion Murasaki of Hololive overslept their early morning off collab by 4 hours, and Fubuki did a live stream covering the situation while they slept. That one video is absolutely hilarious. That whole stream is hilarious. Highly recommend checking clips if you never saw that. But that one hit #1 trending on Twitter and had 60k people watching at its peak. And reminder, that was in 2020. That stream hit the mainstream and was how some people discovered Hololive. This is what comes to mind for me as a real moment that could have inspired this story. The obvious inspiration is the exact situation that we see. Someone forgetting to mute and end the stream, leading to them saying things they wouldn't have said publicly. That is something that happens, but is more of a fear than a common event with actual ramifications, in my opinion. But the situation I brought up has a lot more similarities. So, as I said about the love that this anime shows, it completely exudes positivity towards VTubers as people and as content creators. Everyone is super supportive of each other, no one chastises each other for their quirks, and everyone's individuality is hailed as their greatest strength. This series is all about showing the positive impact VTubers can have on others and the fulfillment VTubers can get in this space. Generally, I would say this is accurate to what the space intends to be, and what we usually see. But there are some aspects of being a VTuber and the space that are not portrayed here by choice. This is not a complex study of VTubers or anything along those lines. This is a work that aims to say that VTubers are awesome. This is seen most strongly in the compilation of real VTubers shown at the end of the series. This honestly almost got me to tear up with how sweet it was. They even show respect to the Clippers, who have been integral to the spread of VTubers. They personally thank them, and they even have some great gags that perfectly mimic the kind of editing Clippers do. The memes, the lingo, the jokes, etc. are all completely on point with the real community. It is clear that the studio put in the work to get all the visual details to make it so completely accurate, along with portraying the source material and accurately adapting that, which also of course was well researched as well. It's a notable choice to have the characters portrayed in their VTuber personas, even when we're seeing them outside of streams. They do mention their real names, but they are always in their VTuber form. I believe this is to keep the immersion and anonymity of VTubers, especially corporate VTubers who tend to act more in a persona than the average VTuber. This series is choosing not to acknowledge that they look different behind the avatar. This plays into the authenticity of the series that can make it feel like a true story of VTubers, but it also adds to the detriment of ignoring reality and some of the negative aspects. This level of commitment can feel very authentic and really feel like it's honed in on VTubers, but it can also feel like it is too honed in. That's what I'm trying to get at. One aspect that plays into the accuracy that I enjoyed, but I could see putting people off, is how thoroughly fetishy this anime is. It captures the thirsty and insane nature that is very well known of the VTuber space. It's not true for all VTubers, of course, but it is true for many and is the type of thing that gets clipped the most. The members in the anime are constantly sexually harassing each other in the friendly way. You know what I mean. Not in the actual detrimental way. Bringing up their fetishes, they're making sex jokes, and they even have some euphemisms and things that I'd never even heard of as a longtime degenerate and VTuber fan. Like the peak of that for me was Alex saying that she would ask for Awa's uvula so then she could feel like she was getting oral sex from her. That was just like insane. Some of this stuff is insane. As a degenerate and a VTuber fan, I mostly enjoyed these moments and gags, but I could see it weirding people out, especially people who are a lot more casual about these kind of things. Even I was a bit weirded out about how heavily it leans into the mommy and the baby roleplay fetishes. I think these were covered a bit too much. This is the kind of thing that makes it feel like it could go a bit above just jokes and feel like it genuinely indulges in fetishes and kind of really, because sometimes when you read a story, any kind of property, you can kind of feel the authors and the creators' fetishes. Like you can feel it more than someplace. Like you can kind of tell when it's a little different. This kind of feels like that to me. So, which is a step up that even some people who like degenerate jokes could totally get put off from, which I think could be understandable. All the power to you if that's your thing. No kink shaming here. But I think the anime went a bit too far, stretching these out and focusing on those. But for the most part, the show is very funny. Outside of the sexual humor, there's also a lot of referential and meme humor that is super funny. From Ao Oni to Y Schwartz, you see a lot more real properties and parody than in the usual anime, which I liked and made its humor stand out a bit more. One minor detail that shows how well the production thoroughly understood what they're parodying is when they play a game that's clearly based on Project Winter. When the characters are talking, a lot of the players are pointlessly kind of just running around in circles mindlessly. This is exactly what people do when playing video games like this. They want to keep moving to keep themselves more entertained while talking. This is just a goofy little minor detail that didn't have to be there, but is, and that just makes it feel so much more authentic and well researched. So one thing I brought up in the roundup is that the depth of its authenticity can also be a detriment. This anime feels so much like you're watching VTuber content that it makes you question why you are watching this instead of watching and supporting real VTubers directly. I think this concern is valid, and I did feel a little bit during moments like the Project Winter and that in the Aovoni collabs. There are times when the anime sticks to one particular scene for so long that it does actually really feel like you're watching a stream rather than an anime. There is novelty to this that can be enjoyed, but it can also make you question if this is worth your time when the real thing also exists. I mostly enjoyed these scenes, but I do think the anime has some moments of horror pacing. On to thematic stuff. There isn't a ton of it in my opinion, but the main theme that I want to touch on is who is the real you, quote unquote, and the nature of presenting oneself as a VTuber. The most notable aspect of VTubing is that you're using an avatar rather than your real appearance, or rather than not using an appearance at all. Being a VTuber can come across as putting on a mask, but the reality can also be the opposite. It can allow the person to truly be who they feel they are, free from the constraints of their real appearance. Putting on a mask does not necessarily mean you are masking personality-wise. We see this mostly through Awa in the anime. Initially, she does mask as a way of hiding her true self. She had less success than the rest of her gym mates, but she didn't feel confident about showing her real personality. The reason why the show treats it as fully positive the whole situation could be because it was a negative situation that worked in her favor. Her real personality was shown by accident, but that accident allowed her to be truly free moving forward, and she found that she enjoyed herself more after that. And continuing on this general point, the series ends with reminding us that the original VTuber member of their company, who is loved and respected by all, who I would say almost, if you want to make a parallel, I would say to Sora from Hololive, where she's almost like this deity-like figure, but it reveals that she's just another awkward person. Behind these crazy personalities, everyone is just a normal, barely functioning person. Some of them, like Awa, seem like that more on the surface once she had her more natural personality shown, but that's true for everyone, even the ones who might not show it as much. This is an important point for all VTubers and their viewers to remember. Beneath the models and any level of acting, there is a normal person who should be respected the same as you. And for the VTubers, remember that this doesn't have to be all of you, and it isn't for your fellow VTubers. Sometimes viewers of VTubers, and creators as a whole, can forget that when they just see a snippet of someone's life and personality through an animated avatar, that's not everything. It's good for the series to acknowledge this, but I think this could have been portrayed better if they did not choose to ignore VTubers having a different appearance in real life. If you did not watch all the way through and do not look with a proper critical lens, I could see someone thinking that this series reinforces them just being an anime person rather than real. But you could also say that focusing entirely on the persona is their way of saying that viewers should not snoop around in their real life. As I said, masking can be a way of hiding your true personality, but it can be a way of showing your true personality. And people have different aspects of their personality. Someone could be acting in a very specific way as a VTuber, kind of in a persona, but that doesn't mean that's fake. That could be a part of them too. There's a lot of room for interpretation when it comes to the topic of self-presentation and distancing between people and different aspects of yourself. This is like a really deep topic, and I like how it gets into it, but it doesn't go into it super deeply. This series is so positive, in fact, that you could make the argument that it goes too far, ending up feeling like it wants you to believe that there are no serious problems with VTubers. This is not a series that is trying to portray the negative aspects of the VTuber space, such as the aforementioned disconnect between viewers and the person behind the model. You can make the argument that the series is worship, which I could understand weirding out people who aren't into VTubers. It could almost come across as obsessive, depending on someone's outlook when watching it, which honestly could also be considered accurate to certain parts of the VTuber community, but I don't think that's the intention. Whether this is a problem or not is also nuanced, and I think it depends on your outlook on what media should be and the impact it can have. If you want a series focused on VTubers to bring up the good and the bad, then this is extremely biased. This is very biased in VTubers' favor. But if you are more like me and don't think everything has to take itself seriously and always try to be some layered, complex story, then it's not as big of an issue. I think it's enjoyable for what it is, which is a work made out of love for the positive impact VTubers have had on some people. This is one where, like I said, with the fetishes, you can also really feel the love from the author. You can tell that this was a labor of love for them. One example of how you could view the series as too positive is that there's nothing critical about the management encouraging her to drink for her streams and praising her for blowing up after forgetting to stop the stream. They described her instability practically as a feature rather than a flaw. You could view this as a wholesome thing because the company is encouraging her to be who she truly is, rather than fit some set role that she's supposed to play, which fundamentally is a good thing. And it's true that they can't take back what happened, so punishing her really would not accomplish that much. But you could also see it as irresponsible, as they aren't discouraging potentially dangerous behavior that could put her and her job in jeopardy. Problems between corporate VTubers and the management has been a common issue, most infamously seen with Nijisanji abusing and taking advantage of their employees. And there's some smaller issues seen in other corps, such as the talents feeling restricted in what they can do. And yeah, VTuber Legend is not interested in talking about that. That's not the point. And whether that's a good or bad thing really is up to you. Another point of contention is how the minor harassment she got after her mistake stream is quickly swept away, which you could say dampens the severity and is unrealistic. But is that really unrealistic? The Hollow livestream I mentioned also makes you think they could have gotten massive hate for basically sleeping through their job duties. But I don't really believe there was much serious hate back then. So is it truly unrealistic that the bad press didn't really matter in the story when the bad opinions and the hate and stuff didn't really matter in this real life situation? That's up to you. I personally don't think it's much of an issue, and that's because of the intent of the series. These sad but real aspects of being a VTuber, a corporate VTuber, are completely absent, at least in the anime. I'm not sure about the source material that goes past this point or wasn't adapted in the anime. So if this is the type of thing you would want from a VTuber anime, it is not here in really any way, shape, or form. I think a series focused on the negative aspects of VTubering and corporate culture could be great, but I also see the value of focusing on the positives to give a thoroughly wholesome experience and fit more into the Iyashike healing kind of genre. And this fits with the general nature of corporate VTuber content. Corporate VTubers generally fit with idols and their ideals, so they have the intention to create content that is uplifting. This series also aims to do the same thing, and I think the synergy can work in the series' favor. If you're looking for a show that is gushing with love and positivity for VTubers, this is the show for you. You could make a comparison between VTuber Legend and series like Love Live, which are not interested in portraying the more toxic aspects of the idol industry and respective industries. If you're looking for something nuanced and holistic, more along the lines of Oshi no Ko, that can have very, very real, very heavy portrayals of different aspects of the spaces and cultures, then this may not be for you. But if you just want to have fun with VTuber shenanigans and revel in the positivity of this community, then I highly recommend giving it a shot. So, to conclude, this series celebrates VTuber culture, lovingly portraying all its quirks and shenanigans. For this, I enjoyed it as someone who loves VTubers and believes in this space. I can relate to the opportunity being a VTuber gives you to express yourself as exactly who you want to be, and pays respect to VTubers as much as anyone could ask for. As you can see, literally VTubing right now. It is consistently very funny and wholesome, even if it does have some dips and drags. But in its attempts to be entirely positive, it does miss out on portraying a more holistic view of VTubers by not including some of its issues. I do not see this as a huge issue for me, as the intent of the show is very obvious. It's to revel in the best this community and its people has to offer, As someone who loves simple, wholesome shows, as well as emotionally complex ones, I don't mind this being a sweet treat rather than a full course meal. I had a great time watching it, but it does have some issues that I felt are notable and would hurt the viewing experience for a lot of viewers. If you fit into the niche groups it appeals to, then I think you'll like it a lot. So, thank you very much for listening. That concludes this. And we want to say much love to all my fellow VTubers and VTuber fans out there. Let's work to make the space a great one and be as loving and positive of a space as VTuber Legend promotes it as. So, again, thank you very much for watching. You can check out my blog in the description and my Patreon if you want to support. And yeah, please stick around if you want to see more from me. Thank you very much.